Welcome to another episode of The Brand Called You, a podcast and podcast show that brings you leadership lessons, knowledge, experience, and wisdom from thousands of successful individuals from around the world. I am your host, Ashutosh Garg, and today I'm delighted to welcome a very accomplished fintech entrepreneur from Canada, Mr. Tomisin Salam. Tomisin,
Thank you
welcome
so
to the
much
show.
Thank you so much for having me,
Thank
Ash.
you. Tomisin is the founder and CEO of FiatMatch. He's a global impact entrepreneur, and he has been focused on reducing world poverty. So, Thomasin, before we get into fintech, tell me about your own journey in brief.
Right. Thank you for that question. So I, started my entrepreneurial journey in my second year of university, where I
Wow.
was selling clothing from the trunk of my car. So my
Mm-hmm.
mom was an entrepreneur. My dad was a corporate guy, and I would take some of the things my mom sold, and I would take that to the center of the school and start selling. So I started selling cosmetics, makeups,
Mm-hmm.
and I built that into a fashion boutique. After I graduated from university, my dad wasn't for entrepreneurship, and I started working in the accounting department of a government agency.
Mm-hmm.
Then moved to a radio station that was almost going through bankruptcy. I developed a payroll system with the help of a consultant. And then I thought, okay, this could be a really good solution for small businesses in Nigeria who couldn't afford the likes of SAP. So I moved to Canada, became a chartered human resources professional, and I went on to do my master's so I could build that solution. Halfway into that, I lost interest and I started working on impact projects. It was a company at the time, it was a nonprofit that was making education accessible to kids all around the world. So we would put educational content on a tablet. So you have $5,000 worth of educational materials on a tablet we sold for $5. That company has gone to do really well, helped a lot of kids around the world. And then, since then I've just focused on, solving, impact, delivering impact in any way that I can to folks all around the world.
Amazing. So, let's start talking a little bit about FiatMatch, which is a community marketplace for getting the best international money transfer deals. But before we get into that, for my viewers and listeners, tell us, what is Fiat?
Hey, great, thank you. So basically, what we're doing with FiatMatch is saying we want to democratize how people move money from one country to another, and then ending currency exchange manipulation. So, you know, for decades now, money transfer companies have made a lot of money from regular folks who are sending money back home to their families. And most people don't even know how much they're losing, because when I send money, for instance, from Canada now and I'm sending it to India, by the time it gets to India, maybe it's being paid out in the Indian rupee. So I don't really know how much has been lost in that
Correct.
transaction. That's the first thing. The second thing is, when the company that I use to send the money, when they quote me an exchange rate, I don't even know if that's the actual rate, but that's never the actual rate. There's always a markup on top of it. So if I was sending $1,000 to India today, I would be losing anywhere from $40 to $130, depending on what platform that I use. Right. But I wouldn't know, as a customer, I wouldn't know that I've lost that money. The only thing I'll probably see is how much I paid in fees, but that's not the only thing. So FiatMatch is changing that power paradigm and giving power to the customers. So on our platform, you can send money in three different ways. The first way is, let's say I need to send money to India today. I would be matched with someone in India who needs to send money to Canada. We both set our rates, we negotiate. Once we both agree, then the person in India pays FiatMatch in India the equivalent of the Canadian dollars that they need. And I would do the same in Canada. So there's actually no money leaving the country. So we've taken out the middleman, the banks, the money transfer agents, and all of that. That's the first way. The second way is, in every country, there are local currency shops. These guys usually offer the best rate, but they're not online. but and they don't also depend on the banks to get their foreign currency. They're getting it directly from the source. So we provide a platform where all of these folks can then get onboarded onto the FiatMatch platform. A customer can use their rate directly, and for the vendors, they don't need to build an app. They don't need to do the KYC. The customer is going to do that through our app. And the third way is, how you do it on every money transfer platform. If you don't have time to negotiate, you just want to send the money. You just pay FiatMatch and we disburse in the other country. But the difference is we will never mark up the exchange rate. Every day you see the actual mid-market rate on the platform to inform your decision when you're posting an offer. So on our platform, one of the good things is you can post an offer. Say I need to send money back onto my mom at the end of the month, and I want a really good rate. I can post today and set an expiry date to say this is when that offer is going to end. So it's sort of giving people flexibility and informing them of what the rate is.
Wow. That must have taken some serious technology to build a platform like this, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was, very difficult to build. But, what I usually say is if you can think of a solution, you can build it. You just have to find a way to get there.
Correct. Well said. And, you did talk about, $40 to $130, which is 4% to 13% of $1,000 could get lost. When people use the FiatMatch platform to transfer, how do the costs compare?
It's a $5 fee, and that's it. We will never mark up the rate.
Wow. And the conversion when it happens, because when you transfer money, you lose money when you convert into, hand it over to you or to the bank. And then when the bank converts it into the local currency, they'll make money even then. How do you handle the currency risk?
That's the problem. That's exactly the problem. So in every case, almost every money transfer platform has to have an intermediary partner. Like you said, like the bank, you pay the bank would take some charges and then pay out. We don't need those guys. What we need is when you're interacting with someone in another country, that person is paying us in the local currency. So I want to send money from India to Canada, and I in Canada wants to send money to India. So I would negotiate with someone in India. Once we both agree, the person in India pays the exact equivalent of the exchange rate to FiatMatch in India. And I would do the same in Canada. We take that currency that you have provided to us in India, we use that to pay my own recipients in India. And the currency that I am providing FiatMatch, we use that to fulfill your transaction in Canada. So there's actually no need for the intermediaries, the banks, to provide the exchange rate. We're actually getting it from the customers and delivering it to their recipients. So there's no need for that intermediary. That's why you can get almost all of your money. So we're saving a minimum of 80% of what people spend today.
Wow. And Tomisin, one of the other things that is always there in financial transactions is the need to manage risk. And in India and in several countries, there's this thing of know your customer. How do you in FiatMatch manage risk?
Perfect. I love that question. So we have a very robust system for security, and some have told me that why invest so much on security? And my answer is always that we have people who are going to be communicating with one another. That's a risk on its own. So we have to verify our customers extensively.
Right.
So we have 3 different systems. Usually companies have one system. We have 3 different systems for managing security. We have one system where when a customer, registers, their name is being run through over 1,000 sanctions, PEPs, OFRIC, all kinds of lists to say, terrorist lists to say this person is not a bad actor. That's the first piece.
Right.
The second piece is when you insert your ID, we're verifying the ID with government databases to say, is this a valid ID? That's the second piece. The third piece is we are approaching this in a community-based way where we have thousands of pre-registered users now. We've opened the platform to a few pre-registered users, and each user has the opportunity to bring invite 5 of their friends to the platform. That's how we want to grow. We're not looking to grow really, really fast. Security first. So at any point in time, at least one person on the platform knows another person. That's in itself, it's some sort of security to say, whether you're putting your identity information, it's safe and secure. Whether you're going to be chatting with someone to negotiate rates, you can be sure they're not bad actors because we have verified their information and made sure that these people are not bad actors. So the KYC bit, that was the first thing that we started. Okay, so we just launched in October, and we've been in business since last March, last year. But for the 1 year, what we were focusing on is regulatory requirements, the security, to make sure that we have a really good system, because we know that we believe our solution is really good because we take a lot of ethics away from customers. So that way, just by having that security in place, the global compliance regime, it's been audited by Grant Thornton. So in terms of KYC security, we've done an excellent job.
And the other factor, Tomisin, that you just referred to was on the laws. Most central banks in countries are very paranoid about foreign exchange. How are you handling foreign exchange laws of multiple countries?
Great. This was one of the first problems that we faced. We realized that governments are part of the problems because when the biggest player in the market, they don't have a need to innovate because they know there's a huge barrier to entry.
Correct.
Right? So they're not flexible. Now, what we have done is we would look for a company or a partner that has a license, right? But not using it for money transfer. So maybe an escrow company, right? They're not using that license for money transfer. We partner with those kind of people because we know it's really expensive to get licenses in all of these countries, but we're getting there. We're getting the license, as we grow, we will start getting those licenses from, different countries. But what we've done is look for partners that have the licenses. They're not using it for money transfer. Partner with those folks, and then you're able to do transactions in all of the countries. And the goal for FiatMatch is we want to build a universal bank, not just a money transfer solution. We want to build a universal bank where, as an immigrant, say I'm from India, I don't need to hold the bank in India and hold the bank in Canada. With the FiatMatch app and card, I'm able to do transactions both ways. So what we've done to get closer to that is on our platform, you can do airtime top-ups and gift cards in 138 countries. We have utility payments in some countries. But as we go along, we want to start bringing like grocery chains into the fold, healthcare into the fold. So, for instance, someone is sending money back home to their mom. That money is not actually to just save. It's probably to maybe do groceries, pay for health needs. So as we go along, you will be able to do those kind of transactions on the platform. That's the goal. And licensing will be something we have to deal with ourselves then, but we're starting to get licensing in different countries.
Fascinating. One more question relating to FiatMatch, and then we'll move to your role as an impact entrepreneur. A lot of countries, Tomisin, are now launching fiat digital currency. India has today launched digital currency. China has their own digital currency. Several other countries have started to launch their own digital currency. What will be the impact of the digital currency on money transfer? Because now, if I want to transfer some money to you, I have a digital currency here, and you have digital currency in Canada. How will that work then?
Right. So digital currencies, I believe, would make things easier to move money here and there. The challenge there is the digital currency, if it's an Indian digital currency for now, it's just it's still the same thing, it's just digital, right? So if I have Canadian digital currency and you have Indian digital currency, doesn't automatically becomes the other, right? That flow still happens of me needing to convert my Canadian digital currency to my Indian digital currency, right? So what it does is it makes things easier. You're able to, do a lot of transaction online. You're able to access it fairly easily, but country A and country B still has to come together. If, say, for instance, the Indian rupee, if I want to use it for a transaction in India, for in Canada, for instance, there still has to be some sort of collaboration with maybe companies in both countries. So yes, it's good. But the exchange still has to happen.
Very interesting. Let's now talk about your other interest of being a global impact entrepreneur. Tell me a little bit that you're doing in this area, and I'm assuming this is linked to the SDGs. So which of the SDGs are you working on?
Great, perfect. Before FiatMatch, I started a company called Study Inc. And what it did was kind of replicate a bit of what we did at Rumi, which is to educate kids and say, if you're an adult and you don't have access to education or you don't have a job, we put you through a skilled training for a month to 3 and ensure that you land a job. Right. And that's to the educational piece. But with FiatMatch, with the goal is to reduce world poverty. And remittances in itself can directly impact 12 of the SDGs. I did a talk, 2 weeks ago, and I spoke about this. Remittances can, impact poverty. Giving money directly to family would impact, poverty levels. Education, giving money would help, my relatives back home, send them to school. Healthcare, remittances is being used to, provide when I send money back home to my family as well. It could be used for healthcare, climate, there's a huge problem with immigration and climate because people need to travel and all of that. But when you send money to families back home, they use this money to purchase energy efficient devices, right? So it impacts that. So on several levels, it impacts the SDGs. But the first thing is, how do we reduce world poverty? Over 700 million people in the world today are living in extreme poverty. Now, it is said, by the UN, based on, the reports, that 700 million people around the world depend on remittances, money being sent back home. And there are over 200 million people providing those remittances to their families. So remittance is has a huge role to play in reducing world poverty. The financial aid that is being provided by the government and private sector every year is around 150 billion, and remittances from the World Bank, based on the actual numbers, that is available is over 600 million,
mm,
600 billion dollars. So it
mm,
is 3 times bigger than the financial aid being provided by government and the
mhm,
private sector combined. And that's the official number for remittances. There is still money exchanging and that are not recorded. So, it's said that, remittances is over $1 trillion,
correct.
right? But the official rate is, 600 billion plus. So,
Mm,
the role of my work as a global impact entrepreneur is first, how can we deal with world poverty?
mm,
How can we contribute to education? Because when you're educated, a lot of things can happen. I mean, I could say education has really helped me
mm,
in everything that I do today.
mm,
Education, in Canada has really helped me. The
mm,
the way I think now, yes, I've always been an entrepreneur, but the way I think now is different from the way I used to think before
mm.
moving here and getting all of this education. So
Right.
my work as a global impact entrepreneur is how can we help with reduce world poverty and
Mm,
education. Those two things are core to all the work that I am doing personally, and every company that I'm going to be involved with
mm.
will be doing. Yes.
Fascinating. And my last question to you, Thomasin, and this is for the many, many people who will listen to our conversation. Based on your own amazing journey, from the time you were work helping your mother to sell uh, cosmetics to today, having worked in the corporate sector, uh, working at the cutting edge of fintech with FiatMatch, working on the SDGs, working towards reducing world poverty. What would you say are 3 lessons or 3 learnings you want our viewers and listeners to take away from your journey and from this conversation?
Right. The any journey starts with a goal and a focus, right?
Hmm,
So the first thing is you have to have a goal and you have to
hmm,
focus on it.
hmm.
And you have to believe that there's nothing you cannot achieve as long as you're prepared to do the hard work.
Yeah,
And if failure comes, failure has to be a part of the success.
yeah.
It's a building block to the success. Like I say, if you can think about anything, like you want to
Hmm,
solve any problem, you can solve it. You just have to find a way to
hmm,
doing that.
hmm,
The second thing is aligning, purpose and profit.
hmm.
People think sometimes when you're, maybe working on an impact project or you're doing good, it takes money away from you. No,
Hmm,
I can tell, I can say, I can tell for a fact that when you do good, um, you're going to make money or you're going to be okay.
hmm,
So always finding a way that whatever work I'm doing, at least it has a good impact
hmm,
on people. And the last thing is finding your purpose in
hmm,
life and
hmm,
building your legacy. Like, what do you want to be remembered by when you're no
hmm.
longer here? It doesn't have to be a huge, a massive,
Yeah,
legacy. Just pick something. Maybe it's impacting the life of a family member. Maybe it's helping a kid,
yeah.
or maybe you're just building a solution that is going to be used by millions of people around the world,
Hmm,
but
hmm,
just, finding your purpose, because it's difficult to find something you're passionate about and you
hmm,
want to work on for the rest of your life. So those 3 things are what I would say,
hmm.
I would love to share.
Fascinating. And on that note, Thomasin, and your 3 wonderful lessons, the first one being have a goal and a focus and believe there is nothing you cannot achieve. Second is align your purpose and profit. The third one you said, believe in your purpose and in life, build towards leaving a legacy. Thank you so much for speaking to me about your incredible journey. Thank you for talking to me about FiatMatch and all the challenges that you are solving using your amazing platform to be able to transfer money, help in remittances at much, much more economical rates than what we are used to. Thank you also for talking to me about your interest as a global impact entrepreneur. Thank you again, and good luck to you.
Thank you so much, Ash. Thank you for providing the platform. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.